If you're ready to take your travel videos to the next level, stay tuned. Today we're talking with Jimi and Sandi Falin from tryNsomethingnew, who are going to share their top 10 tips to help you make awesome travel videos. Hey everybody, it's Karen King from Worldschooling Central. Welcome again to Friday Live, number 3 this time. And I am so excited to introduce you guys today to Jimi and Sandi Falin. They are amazing people and can't wait to talk to them a little bit more in a second. I just want to explain to you a little bit about what this is. Friday Lives are really just designed to help you world school, help you learn about world schooling, help you learn skills and techniques and things that are going on in the world that will help you world school better. Of course, that's what Worldschooling Central is for, to help you guys understand world schooling, learn more about it and get out there. Like it's a crazy world we're living in and there's so much you can do. And this world schooling lifestyle is just incredible. So as I said, today we're with Jimi and Sandi. Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. I met these guys 4 years ago now, believe it or not. Time just flies, doesn't it? It's nuts. So Jimi and Sandi have a very successful YouTube channel, over 40,000 subscribers now.
Yeah,
we're getting there.
Oh, that is just incredible. And so, I really wanted to have them join us today to talk to you guys, because I know we're all out there, when we can travel, we're out there, we're filming, we're trying to make these cool videos. And I know a lot of you are trying to make a YouTube channel. So I wanted to get Jimi and Sandi on today to talk you through that and share some of their experience and give you some incredible hints and tips that you can use to make your videos, or if you want to start a channel, make that even better as well. So before we kickstart those hints and tips, can you guys just share your story with me? Because I love this. Like, I was literally there at the conference when you guys just went, what is this stuff? And you guys started world schooling straight afterwards. So yeah, tell everybody about how that all came about.
Oh, wow. So it was about 4 or 5 years ago. We were just miserable. We were just sick of the daily grind, sick of where we were at. Like, the kids weren't happy. The kids were in school at the time. And every morning it was a struggle getting them to school. And then when we picked them up from school, it was a struggle, like, just get, homework and like, life was just so busy and hectic. And then we tried to squeeze all of our fun in on the weekends, but of course you still have other things you need to do. And so it was just, it's the daily grind over and over. And we were exposed to this thing called world schooling. And as soon as we heard it, I go, what is that? I joined the Facebook group. When I got approved to join, I started scrolling and my mind was blown. I tell everybody the story and I'm like, Jimi, you gotta see this, to see what families were doing already, like traveling the world with their kids. That's how they were learning, experiencing hands-on. Our minds were blown. And shortly thereafter, Lainey was having her Project World School Summit in Mexico. And we were like, we need to go. Like, we need to go see what this is like, what these people are like, what they're doing. And we went, and it seriously changed our lives.
We came home and said, how do we do this? And
we're doing it right now.
3 months later, we got rid of the house, got the RV that we're in now, hit the road, and it's been a glorious experience ever since.
Oh, it's been amazing. And even like we met a bunch of families from that trip, from that summit, that we're still friends with today. And like, we love, it's like these like-minded people that get that kind of lifestyle, that
lifelong friends.
There's more to life than the job and school and the sports or activities that you think, the American dream's all about.
Yeah. And, the American dream, the Australian dream, we're all told, get the house, get the, have the kids, get the cars, get the good jobs. And we had all of that and we were miserable. Like, Cam and I were so stressed. We were fighting all the time. We were working too hard. I never saw the kids. And, I call it now my Groundhog Day existence, the same thing, day after day. Oh, that was horrible. Yeah. So, hey, listen, I'm just going to pop up on the screen for anyone that's interested. I actually did a really cool, full in-depth video with these guys talking about their experience, about, I guess it's just an in-depth look at your experience, why you got started, how you do it, all of that sort of stuff. So we've got the the full interview over on YouTube if anyone wants to check that out. I love that interview. It's an awesome interview. So head over and have a look at that if you want to learn more about Sandi and Jimi and their adventures. And then tell me about YouTube, because like seriously, I mean, you guys have the most incredible personalities, and it didn't surprise me when you started to blow up on YouTube. Like, you're fun to be around, and everybody you just connect with people, and people want to hear more about you guys. So tell me how that all eventuated.
So for the past 11 years, we've had a professional video company where we went out and made, we got hired to make videos for businesses, and we did a lot of high-end weddings and stuff like that. And then once we discovered Worldschooling like 4 years ago, then we had to document all of our adventures, because we're off in these faraway exotic places, and we just got to tell that story. It's in us to be storytellers. So we just took the cameras, and instead of like filming other people, we're like, oh, look, we could do ourselves, right? And so then we started, putting all of our videos up on YouTube, and then it gained traction like right away. And we're like, wow, this is like really cool. We could have a go at this, So yeah, that's how the journey started. Is we just want to share the experience with other people and show you that there's another way to live, because so many people watch our videos and they go, oh, I never knew you could do that. And we're like,
well, people think
yes, we
like,
can
you have
all
kids,
do that.
You can't travel. And so people,
they ask us that all the time. They go,
did you bring the kids?
Travel with the kids?
We were in Bali for 6 months. Did you bring the kids?
Yeah, no, I left them at home.
Of course we brought the kids,
For me, I always kept saying, oh, you know what, I'll travel when the kids are older. And then I remember just thinking, I was so stressed at work. I was like, you know what, I'm not going to get sick or something shortly. Like, I was so stressed. And I got sick of waiting for tomorrow. Like I'm working. When does tomorrow ever come? Because tomorrow something else comes up. And then we learn about location independence, living and or working online so you can live anywhere. And then we discovered Worldschooling. So, when you have that moment where you learn about it, and that's why we started Worldschooling Central, because just like your YouTube channel, people hear about it and they're like, what is this?
I love it.
Yeah, it's
another
pretty
thing
cool.
that I tell people is tomorrow's not guaranteed.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Not to look at it in a negative way, but you never know what's going to happen, what changes might happen in your life, Yep. And like being in the RV community is a lot older, older crowd, right? And we see them, they worked their whole life, they hit retirement, now they have the RV, and now they're traveling, but things are not so easy when you're in your 60s, 70s, and 80s, So going up and down the stairs, hooking up the car, we see them all the time struggling. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so glad that we decided to do it now. And they tell us, you guys are lucky you started it now, because it's not easy when you get older.
Well, and they say too, like, we wish we would have done this with the kids, because I would have loved to show my kids everything that we're seeing now. Like,
It's just a completely different mindset, just realizing you can do something different. And how are your kids, like 4 years on now, how are the kids experience?
Oh, they love it.
Yeah.
Well, something just happened yesterday that cracked me up is we'll meet, the kids will be meeting people in the RV park and stuff, or wherever we go. And they come up to us and they go, I have to tell you, your kids are amazing. They tell me about all their travels, and this is like strangers that they're meeting, or maybe the parents of some kids they're playing with, and they're like, they are so excited to tell me about, they went here in Thailand and Philippines and and then I ask them where they go next. Well, I don't know, we might go back to Bali. And like an 8-year-old, 10-year-old, they're just blown away. And so I go, well, that's good to hear, because obviously they like the lifestyle. It's
exactly.
Like that we're doing something right.
yeah, exactly. I get the same thing, particularly with Sienna. Like, everybody's just like, wow, like she talks all the time. I swear we've made more friends over our travels because of her meeting other kids and then talking to their parents and then bringing them over and introducing them to us.
Yeah, so
nuts.
Cool.
Awesome. So we're going to talk about 10 tips to help people make amazing YouTube videos. I know you guys have given me some great advice over the last 12 months. I mean, look, for those, whether you want to start your own YouTube channel or you just want to make better videos that you can share with your friends and family, there are some basic things, some more advanced things that you can do to make the videos more enjoyable and, better quality. And, it doesn't necessarily have to be super tricky, but you guys are going to share some awesome tips with us today.
Yes, we are.
Heck yeah.
So let's dive in. What's number one?
All right. So, well, first off, we just want everybody to know is that you are capable and you can make amazing travel videos. You know, like people think, oh, well, you have experience and this and that. No, it just knowing.
We are all self-taught, 100%
We're self-taught, yeah.
Like 100%.
And so there was no film school. There was no anything that, you know, no tricks up our sleeve. It was all just trial and error and figuring it out along the way. A lot of YouTube videos that we watch. But it really all comes down to like these 10 tips right here are amazing guides to think about every time you're filming something. Every time you go on location, you go visit somewhere. If you incorporate these things, your videos are instantly going to get better. You know, and anybody can do it.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah. All right. So
just want to stress that.
Let's get into number one. Number one is know your gear, right? I'm a bit of a gear hoarder, and anytime something new comes out, I have to go get it. And so I'm like, hey, but new camera came out, and it's only like $1,000, you know, or this one's only like a new GoPro came out, and she's like, you're done. You can't buy any more cameras. So
no more.
What we had to do in the past, we actually did it this past month, is we went through, I had bags and bags and bags of cameras, and we had to go, okay, what do we need? What do we don't need, right?
Yes.
And so we actually peeled down because there's something in simplification. And so we'll go through 3 cameras that, you know, are must-haves in our kit, and that is the GoPro. Always have the GoPro. This thing has a built-in stabilizer. The 8, 9, and 7 are really, really good cameras. Not so good in low light, so if you are shooting something indoors or inside, you might want to switch out to a different camera, but I swear 80% of our videos are shot on these. And I always bring this big bad boy with us because I like the depth of field and I'm like, let me just take the GoPro. It's so much easier. You know?
Or your phone. Like, so, but the one thing is know your gear in the sense of know how to use it already, so that way you're not fumbling with it when you're somewhere cool and epic and you're like, oh my God, let's shoot. And then you're like, okay, so how do I turn this on? Or how do I do this? Or, you know, like, especially with the GoPro, there's different frames. You know, you don't want to shoot everything in wide because then you can't really see anything, you know?
Then it feels like a GoPro. So that's another trick that we have. When you are shooting with a GoPro, anything we shoot with a headshot, we shoot 90% of it in linear. Linear is the medium field of view. So if you shoot everything in wide, it's like a 180 fisheye. The edges are a little rounded, and people are like, oh, you shot that on a GoPro. But you can do a little trick with the GoPro to make it seem like you're not shooting on a GoPro, which is shooting linear. So she was saying, know your gear. We just got this about a week ago. It's the brand new Air S, which is absolutely amazing. But I have to play with it before we go out on an adventure, because if we go out on an adventure, I'm like, can you give me a second to put this up? And I haven't shot with this one yet. And then I'm like fumbling, and then it takes me an extra half an hour. And the
then
moment
you're stressed
is
out
gone,
because it's
right?
a drone and you don't want to lose it.
Yeah, and then I crashed it because I'm trying to get a boat taken off out of the harbor. So you got to play with this stuff before you go out and hit record. Because a lot of times we'll buy something the minute we're going out on an adventure or the minute we're going out to make a video, and then I'm like, I
forgot to learn how to use this thing.
So.
And it happens.
Play with your gear a little bit ahead of time and know your gear.
And have a clean lens. People always forget that, and they'll tell us, oh man, is there anything you can do with your footage once you shot it? And I'm like, nope, you have to clean the lens first. We tell our kids that all the time, and it's the easiest thing to forget, but it impacts your footage. It makes it not usable if it's really bad. So
these are for your glasses, you know, little lens cloths, clean off your glasses all the time. But I have one in my pocket. I'm like an old man because I always have a lens cloth in my pocket, right?
Like a woman with tissue.
And the reason is because I swear every 4 minutes, I'm wiping off a lens, wiping off. Because as you're walking around with these things, they bump your arm, they get a greasy sweat mark on it. You don't realize it. You get home to edit, and you got this big cloudy, hazy film all over all your footage. You know, so just always have a lens cloth with you. Take a second to wipe off your lenses.
It's the little details that make such a big difference.
You can use your shirt, but it scratches sometimes. So try to.
All right. Nice. So number 2.
Before you go to number 2, I just want to ask: do you need fancy equipment to be able to shoot good film?
No, especially doing travel videos.
Hold on. I just sold $10,000 worth of camera gear because you don't need it.
Yeah,
$10,000 worth of gear.
So that's actually true. We've traveled all over Southeast Asia, and we brought all of the gear, the big, the A7IIIs, everything,
backpacks,
the gimbals for the big, Steadicams and stuff. And we ended up never, ever, ever pulling it out because it's so much easier.
This is what I shot everything in Southeast Asia on.
So
point, shoot, and a GoPro.
So being light and nimble while traveling is key.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Super duper key, because if it becomes a pain to use it, you're not going to use it, and then you don't get the shots.
Yeah.
Another thing too that sometimes I get a little hesitant. We go to third world countries a lot, and you know, I mean, you get a lot of attention when you start pulling out the big monstrosity cameras with gimbals and stabilizers and all this stuff. And for me, it's just like I like to fly under the radar and be a little bit more low key.
Absolutely.
Or in situations, you know. So it's so much cooler to supply one of these, and
so much better.
Like, and then people aren't scared too. People are like, hey, what are you doing over there? And you're like, hey, you want to be in my video? And they're like, yeah. You know, as opposed to it's a big production. We've been in places and we'll pull out the big camera and people go, you can't film here. You can't film here. And then I go, okay. And they're like, okay, you're good. You could film here. You know, and it's like,
well, that's another thing with phones. You know, we always say use the camera you have with you. And most of the time you at least have your smartphone, which has, and these days, amazing cameras.
Crazy.
So just remember to shoot this way, shoot horizontal, and it's good enough for a YouTube video.
Yeah,
so,
and a lot of them have got a stabilizer on the actual camera, like on the smartphone these days. And mine's got an awesome stabilizer. So
it is.
Cool.
So you can literally use your phone. So,
all right. Number two.
Number two is be confident on camera. So I'm sure you've watched videos where the people are, you know, I'm here and so, they're talking low. They're not owning it, you know? And so if you're going to vlog or do any sort of video, you want to make sure that you believe in it as you're projecting it, you know? And so making sure your voice is heard, you're not looking down, you're looking at the camera, you know, all of those little things make a big difference. Because I know we've watched so many videos where I go, man, I wish they would have owned it a little more, because then you want to watch the video the whole way through. But if they feel like they don't want to be there and they're looking around and not engaging, then it's harder for the viewer to connect. You know, so being confident on camera, it's an easy thing to do. Just get your energy up, and energy. Actually, energy is a very important thing. You want to have high energy while you're talking, because even though you feel like you're maybe overdoing it, it doesn't come across that way on camera.
Yeah, very true.
And one thing we noticed too, like in the beginning, we hold this out and we're like, oh crap, there's people around. Like, all right, we'll just do it later. Like, I don't want to. I don't want to bring this attention to me, right? But then we're like, no, screw that. Like, I'm rocking a YouTube channel. And once we just made that switch and we go, let's roll. And then people kind of come around like, what are you guys doing? And we're like, oh, it's for YouTube. And they're like, oh my God, can I subscribe right now? And we're like, here we are holding ourselves back. And it actually, if you just own it, people will hop on board with you, right?
You need business cards. Hand out the business cards. Trying something new. I'll send Sienna over. She loves handing out business cards.
Oh my gosh, Sienna. Well, and have fun is the biggest thing. Have fun while you're doing it, because really the reason we're doing this is because it's fun.
Yeah, totally.
You know, we have a YouTube channel because it's fun for the kids. It's fun to share our experiences and show people places maybe they haven't been to that maybe they want to go to. Give them tips about traveling. So it's all, at the end of the day, we have fun doing it, and that's what's most important, you know. Because if you're then you're not going to want to do it.
And I think if you take it too seriously, I know like Sienna, my 10-year-old, she wants to start a YouTube channel, and she does these awesome cooking videos. And she said, Mum, can you help me and, you know, teach me to edit? And so I got in there and I helped her, and the video looked amazing, but it actually lost all of her character and personality. Like when she just shoots a video by herself and gets in the kitchen and, you know, she might muck a few things up, or she does a little dance or whatever the case may be. That's so much more fun. So like that was a big eye opener for me. Just have fun with it, and you don't have to be perfect. Like you just don't have to be.
So a funny tip on that, a little side note on that. So we come from a professional background. So I'm actually deprogramming myself to be so perfect all the time. And now when we do mess ups, I put them in because I'm like, this is funny. It shows personality, and you know, it's just fun to let people know that we're not perfect all the time.
We almost are envious of the people that don't have any sort of background, because they're just carefree while they're doing it. Instead of, like you said,
the audio's
it's got to be this way.
The lighting's not right. The camera's not right. This isn't right. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so number three.
Number three is the hook. And this is kind of something that I feel every video needs. And when somebody's thumbing through YouTube and they're like, oh, click on that thumbnail, you got 5 to 10 seconds to really grab their attention. And that's called the hook. Think about like going fishing or something, you know, you got the hook. And so really sometimes they naturally reveal themselves as you're filming, but just make sure that when you go out to make a video on this topic or this adventure or this travel day, that you have some kind of hook, you know? Oh my God, I can't believe we're at this crazy temple with the video. Whatever it is, have something to get people's attention.
Or our last video where Jimmy crashed the joint into my hand and cut me, that we put that in the beginning because people would go, oh my God, like I have to watch this now, you know? So
the hook, it could be an element down here in the story, but you can take that. I mean, I didn't show us crashing the drone till we were 3/4 of the way through the video, but I took 10 seconds of coming down and slicing her fingers, and I put that in the first 10 seconds. So when you watch it, you go, oh, now I gotta watch this whole video.
Find out how, why.
Yeah. So you can pull a
little teaser, something that makes the people go, oh, okay, well, this is what's gonna happen. I want to watch that. Just like a movie trailer.
So definitely have a hook, because remember, you got 10 seconds, otherwise they're on to the next guy. And so you really got to grab them and say, no, you're going to stay here and watch it.
Watch mine. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So number 4.
Number 4, have a beginning, middle, and an end. Tell a story, you know, because a lot of people will just shoot B-roll and do this and do that, but there's no actual story where people in the beginning know, like, we're going to go, today we're going to go here, 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 we're going to do this, this, and this. So people know, oh, that's what's going to happen. And then the middle is, you know, doing all of this stuff. And then an ending is super important because a lot of people will just stop the video, like, and abruptly, and you're like, oh, what happens, you know? Like, what's either the resolution or what's, you know, what happened? And so it's super important to have a beginning, middle, and end, because it's just like a movie, you know? Like, your YouTube videos are like little movies, right? And so you want to take people on a journey, you want to show them something, you want to, you know, it's just so natural to have the beginning, middle, and end to make people feel complete. You know, like when they finish watching the video, like, wow, that was really good. But it's something so people forget.
Yeah, and so you have to commit in the beginning that you're going to take this thing all the way to the end, right? So if you go out on an adventure, for an example, we did Ryder's 8th birthday the other day, we went on a jet ski. So I'm like, this could be a cool video. So the beginning, we're walking down the dock, and he goes, it's my 8th birthday, and we're going to ride jet skis. And then the whole journey is where we go. It's everybody's first time on jet skis. We go out to the sandbar, blah, blah, blah. So that's the middle. And then the end is he's like, I had the best time ever, and blah, 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 blah. So if I wouldn't have got that last soundbite of him concluding the story, then we're just left out in the ocean, right? So we got to bring it back.
Literally, right?
Yeah, and we have to close. Think about putting brackets on the front and the back. You got to close up the story. Otherwise, you know, it's just kind of like you're going to get home to edit and you're going to go, I didn't get an ending. So commit in the beginning that you're going to take this thing all the way through. Even if you're tired and you're hungry and you want to go home, you still have to get an ending.
And sometimes it's just a soundbite, but it like puts that little final touch on the video.
Absolutely. Is there a particular length of video that you guys sort of aim for, or that YouTube likes, or?
Well, so you could make whatever length you want, right? Like, but it's always better to make it as long as it needs to be to tell the story, but as short as possible. So it's cutting out the fluff, it's cutting out all the extra stuff that loses value, you know. And so for us, our sweet spot is like 12 to 15 minutes, because you want to always, your retention rate is very important. So you can make a 30-minute video and think, oh, this is all this stuff needs to be in there. But if people watch 10% of your video, that's not good for the algorithm for YouTube. And so 10 to 15 minutes, most people will watch at least 50% of it, which 50% retention rate is pretty good. And so like, it's super important to not make it long, just to, you think, oh, watch hours or minutes, you know, because if they don't stay around, then YouTube's not going to pump your video out, because they go, no one really likes it because they only watch 10% of it. And so
even the people that we love to watch, I'm like, oh, they got a new video up, and I go, it's 25 minutes. I don't have that much time right now. You know what I mean? Like 25 minutes, that's a commitment. You give me 12, 15, I'm like,
that's actually really important. Time is very important. You know, the most important thing someone could give you is their time. And so if they're watching your video, you don't want to waste their time by making it 25, 30 minutes if it doesn't really need to be. Unless lots going on, I don't think it needs to be that long. Unless
it needs to be. But. Unless
it needs to be. And so, 10 to 15 minutes for us is what we like to do. It's like in and out.
Absolutely. All righty. And so the next one, number 5.
All right. Throwing in elements to add more wow factor to your videos. So the way we kind of shoot is in scenes. Like, say we're going onto a boat. The first scene is us loading onto the boat and taking off. And then when we take off, I'll set up the GoPro on the dash with a little suction cup of the boat, and I'll hit a time lapse until the battery runs out. Like, who cares? I carry around 10 batteries with me. Just let it roll until the battery runs out. And then when we get to our next scene, I'll use that time lapse as a transition point in between the two scenes. Or let's say we fly the drone, and I'll see a boat that's going in the distance, and I'll shoot that boat and I'll follow it. And then when I go to edit, I'll make it look like that was our boat, because it's really hard to fly a drone with your boat going. And from the sky, it's just a white line, going down the thing. And so
like movie magic.
We'll be in our boat, and then I'll cut out to a drone shot of a boat going, and then I'll cut back into our boat. And so you're like, wow, they flew the drone while they were driving the boat. That's so cool. But it's not. But so do really cool stuff for transitional points in between your scene. So some cool things you can do on here. Time lapse, super easy. Time warp is a really cool one that you can do. Time warp is a moving time lapse. So it's like a forward motion or a sideways motion, and it's still got that time lapse effect. Or some really cool slow motion. You can put 60 frames a second on this and do 6 or 7 shots, and that can be a montage to transition from us loading up the boat to us jumping off at the sandbar, So put really cool elements in, transitional elements in between your scenes. Time lapse, time warp, slow-mo, drone shots.
And I've heard that sort of, changing things up a little bit helps to keep the viewer's attention, yeah?
Yeah, totally. So
yes,
our big thing is, if you know what is coming next, subconsciously, you go, I don't need to watch this because I already know what's coming next.
Keep them guessing.
So what we like to do is we're going along this way, and then we go, boom, we're going to go over here. And then it's almost like a wake up, like a shot of caffeine, like, whoa, hey, didn't expect that coming. And then we kind of take you down this path that's predictable, and then we'll go somewhere else, Yeah. And so if you do that 3 or 4 or 5 times during your video, it's kind of like, wow, I didn't see that coming. I'm definitely going to stay tuned and watch another one because I want to be surprised.
It takes a little more planning because you have to think about doing those shots while you're filming, and then a little more in the editing side. But it really raises the value of your video, the production value, keeping people like wowed and interested.
Absolutely. So if anybody has any questions as we're going through these points, feel free to ask. I've put on the bottom of the screen at the moment the software that we use, StreamYard. If you want us to be able to see your name and who you are, someone just said hi, but we actually can't see who that actually is. So if you go to streamyard.com/Facebook, you can hit, authorize, and we'll be able to see your name and your photo and all of that. But if you have any questions for these guys, feel free to ask so, we can get those answered for you. Alrighty, so now we're on to number 6.
Number 6 is time of day matters. So a lot of people.
That was actually B-roll.
Okay, we'll do time of day right now. All right. So time of day matters. Sunrise and sunset are the most gorgeous times of day to film because you're getting that golden hour. Everything the sun isn't directly overhead, so you can get a lot of silhouette shots. You can do a lot of that golden. Like if you're shooting B-roll, you can. The way the leaves look, everything just has this golden look and is way more rich and vibrant. And so if you pay attention to filming either sunrise or sunset, the visuals will come out way better.
Yeah, there's a couple guys that we watch, like Sam Colder and Lost the Blanc, and some of their visuals are just mind-blowing, right? So we actually stopped and broke down, what are they doing that makes their stuff so amazing? Yeah. And then they're like, we're just shooting at sunrise and sunset.
It's just time of day. That's it.
We went out one day. We're like, all right, we're just going to shoot sunrise, sunset. We're like, oh my God, we got the same shots.
Well, you can go see a temple in Thailand, right? You can go see these gorgeous structures. And if you're shooting it at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, it's going to look way different from if you shot it sunrise or sunset. Yeah. It's going to have that golden look, the way the sun hits it. And so those are the shots that really stand out, make your footage that much better. And it's really just the time of day when to shoot it. Yep. And also time of day matters in the sense of if you are at a touristy place and there's tons and tons of tourists, if you go earlier, like you're one of the first ones there, you have a way better chance of shooting the environment without hundreds of people around. Like you go see the pyramids in Egypt, and if you go midday, you're going to see probably hundreds of thousands of people. And so how do you get that epic shot of the pyramid? You can't, because it's the time of day. So go super early, be one of the first ones there, and you have a way better chance of getting gorgeous shots of all the amazing things you want to shoot.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you were talking, the next tip you said about shooting B-roll.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, B-roll. So B-roll, we always say, like, what is B-roll? What does the B stand for in B-roll? So we used to say it's always beauty shots, you know, go get your beauty shots. But it's actual, if you look at what the story is, the story would be your A-roll. And if you're looking at it on the timeline when you're editing, your story is the main thing that drives the video forward. And the B-roll is the stuff that you would layer on top of the A-roll to help tell the story a little bit better. So B-roll is all the stuff that, you know, if you just did your YouTube videos and you just did a talking head the whole time where you're holding the camera out here, after about, I don't know, for me, after 20 seconds, I'm like, I'm done seeing this person talk. I want to see where they're at. So you could say a 5-minute segment on what you're doing and where you're at, and then go out and get 15 to 20 shots that help tell the story of where you're at and what you're doing. And then your video went from like a 40% to a 95% just by going out and get B-roll, beauty shots, you know, to help tell the story forward. So it takes a little bit more time, and you really got to like push yourself to go do it sometimes. But when you get home to edit, you're like, oh my God, this is like amazing that I actually took the time to go out and get these shots.
Another point to adding B-roll is you make the viewer feel like they're there. You know, like you're adding all those elements where if you're on the beach, you see the water rolling in, you can hear the waves crashing. You know, there's just little of the palm trees swaying. So if you add those couple of shots, it's like, oh, like a lot of people tell us that I felt like I was there with you, like in the Philippines or wherever, because of the way that we shot it. And we know that because of our professional background, but those are just, anybody can do that. You know, we love giving the information that we've learned over the years is just take a second. What are the things that you notice while you're here? What are the sounds that you hear? Let's film that and really showcase the location. And then the viewer's like, oh, wow, like I really feel like I was there with you. And for someone to say that, that's like you scored, you know?
And with these things, it's amazing. I love movement in my shots. So, you know, say there's like a tree right here. I mean, you could just do a little 180 around it, and it smooths it. I used to carry around a gimbal and a stabilizer and a slider and like 20 different contraptions just to get the shots that you can do with this thing that's got a built-in stabilizer, you know? So go around, get your low shots. You can turn it upside down, get some low shots of the waves, you know, just have fun with it. And then you get home and you're like, wow, this is amazing. I got some great stuff.
We did a horse riding in Panama video recently, and me and my GoPro galloping along a country road on a horse. Like, it was awesome and so fun to be able to put into the video later.
Yeah.
So let's just say you're galloping around on the horse, right? And you're kind of out here for a minute. Take it upside down and then get your feet in the stirrups, and then go.
There you go.
And get your hands, you know, holding on to the
horse,
thing, and then put it way out in front of the horse and get the horse's eyeball, you know, and then put all that slow-mo and get the mane just going, and then.
So now that brings it to a whole different level, right?
So that's.
I was excited that I did the galloping bit, but
which is great. But there's always more that you can do.
And I think it's just being able to see that, you know, and that's, you know, they're great examples of, you know, like, I love things like my husband was trying to get really creative one day, and he did some silly shot of, you know, he took the GoPro right up to the back of my son's hat and pulled back from it. And it was actually a really cool shot. Like, it was really simple, but I think what I learned from him was, you know, just play. Like, it doesn't matter if it doesn't work because you don't have to use it, but you can come up with some fun stuff.
Yeah, it's fun. And it's fun because you don't have to worry about all your settings. You don't have to worry about the focus. You don't have to worry about the white balance. You don't have to worry about, you know, you just go boom. What I do is I always count to 5 in my head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I do that like 6 times, and then
that's cool.
You know, all my B-rolls done, and it took 45 seconds.
Because sometimes people will go, okay, they'll like hold it up for like a second. Okay, that was good. I got that. And they go to edit and they're like, oh my God, I didn't hold it long enough, you know?
I only know the 5-second rule because I've come home many times and not had.
And has done that.
I got a great one once in Indonesia, actually, on the 3-day boat trip that we did. And, you know, there's manta rays in the water next to us. We're in a boat. So I just shoved my GoPro in the water upside down. Best footage. Like, you know, you just have to do strange things. I guess that's what I'm learning.
Like, get creative, have fun with it. You know, that's always what we're telling our kids. What we tell everybody is just get creative. Like, how else can I do this? You know, and just have fun with it.
Well, we just made a video with another family And then they watch it and they go, when did you get all those shots? You know, like we're on a boat with them, or, you know, and I got all this cool B-roll of the boat. And they're like, when did you do all that? I'm like, oh, that's right around doing it. Like,
Just always thinking,
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. And it's, you know, it's such good memories, and especially like all of that stuff, like some of that doesn't make the final video, but, you know, every now and then we pull up some of this stuff and we're like, we've got video of Sienna dancing around the world, like, you know, in all the different countries, you know, you know, fancy palaces in I don't know, Sweden or like wherever it was. But, you know, all of that sort of stuff, whether you ultimately use it or not, it's still amazing footage you can come back to.
For sure.
So,
for sure.
Alrighty, so what are we up to? We're up to 8.
8. You want to do that one?
Sure. Shoot to edit. This is a big one.
He's the editor, so yeah,
Right,
you do that one.
For the first 2 or 3 years of our video production career, we would go out and they call spray and pray, which is where you film 4 hours of footage and then you come home and you go, oh, I'm praying that I have something to make a video.
Yes.
So spray and pray technique, we used it quite often. And it ended up taking me so long to get our videos turned around.
Yeah.
And then so finally we're like, okay, we have to shoot to edit. You know, we discovered this term, shoot to edit. And so when we go out, we're like, what's the main story? We find the story. We make sure we got the story down, and then we shoot all of our B-roll to represent it. And then when we leave there, we look at each other and be like, are you good? Did you get it good? And she's like, I'm good. And I'm like, I'm good. Because we both shoot, you know?
Yeah.
And so when we leave something, we know that we have enough, but not too much to go home to edit together.
Well, and incorporating the beginning, middle, and end. You know, when we're shooting to edit, it's all right, did we get our beginning? Did we get the middle? Did we get the end? You know, and then what's the B-roll? And so we know we got those points, and then we could shoot a little extra if we want, if there's like stuff going on. But you know you got or you can even make a shot list. You know, sometimes you get overwhelmed when you go somewhere, and I know there's been instances where I go, there's going to be a lot going on. We should make a little shot list to make sure we got those elements that we can't miss, you know?
But then also when you shoot that and you know you got it, then you can actually put down the camera and enjoy the adventure too.
Yeah.
That's always, I always find myself like, no, I gotta go. Because I get joy out of making videos and sharing them with people, right? I get a lot of joy out of that. But at the same time, sometimes I just want to enjoy the experience too. So get everything you need to get, and then like, all right, you're gonna go away for a couple hours.
That helps keep you on track. I think that's really good. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, you know, we started a YouTube channel when we first started our travels, and I loved doing it. But we went to Universal Studios one day, and I spent the whole day shooting, and I got home and realized that I'd missed the whole day. And it was literally, I stopped at that point because I was just like, you know, I think your advice right now for that point would have been great for me to hear back then, because I was shooting everything, just trying to make sure that I got everything, and I was missing out on the adventure. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody does it. Everybody does
it.
You know, you get excited. You're in the moment. Like, I got to film this, and then you're like, wait, hold on. 3 hours passed, and I haven't even really been present, you know? And so if you make a point to hit the things you need to hit, then have fun. And then you can film again too, but you want to make sure you're present and having fun, especially if you're with kids. You know, you don't want them to just see you with a camera the whole time and all this fun happens. So, yeah, keep you on track.
Jimmy, touching on editing for a second, what any tips on that? Because, you know, to a lot of people, that can be pretty complicated. Like, how can we simplify that?
Oh, wait, that's a good question. I'm still trying to figure that out. Definitely have a workflow and a way to stay organized. Staying organized is huge. You know, we'll go out and we'll shoot 4 different adventures over the week, and then I get home and I'm like, I got a little bit on this one, I got something on this one, I got 4 shots on this one.
Literally.
So, and then
so
what I do is I create a folder system, and I know that Adventure A is going to be its own complete video. So I'll put all the shots from Adventure A into this folder and name it Ryder's 8th birthday. And then, so then, you know, I just go through each memory card and keep it organized so that a week or 2 or a month or a year later, when I get ready to edit that, I open up the folder and I go, oh, wow, I did a good job of organizing that. Look at that. And then you need to have a nice workflow too when you go into editing. And I've streamlined a really cool process where once you import all your footage, I pull it all into the timeline. I scrub through every single thing that we shot, and I do it in fast forward, so it goes twice as fast. And then I just pull out nuggets. I'm building the story in my head, pulling out nuggets, and I move them up one timeline. So, you know, I cut, move it up, cut, move it up, cut, move it up. And I'll go through 4 hours of footage, and I'll pare it down to 20 minutes. And I take that 20 minutes, and then I put it into another timeline, and then I do the pairing process one more time.
I watch him, and I'm like,
But it's just fine tuning the story and getting it whittled down to something that people want to watch.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So we have an editing course that shows you how to do that, but it's a guideline for you, but you really have to find your workflow. You know what I mean? Because if you're just unorganized and you got folders over here, and then this connection got severed, you don't know where it went, and something's on another hard drive. It just, it's exhausting.
And editing is hard to begin with. That if you are all over the place, you just get overwhelmed and never want to do it again. And we hear that so many times. Like, I tried and it was too hard, you know, and you just don't know how to start it right from the beginning. Because that melts a lot of frustrations, you know.
There's one more tip on that. One more tip on the editing real quick.
You're good. We've actually got a question from someone. So So
do everything. I'm a one task mind kind of person. So if you're rough cutting, pulling out all the nuggets, only rough cut. Then when you're done with rough cutting, put that over here because that's done, and go on to the next one, which is building the story. Then once you're building the story, put that away. And now we're going to go find music to help tell the story. So then I don't do anything but music for 45 minutes to an hour. Then we find the music. Now we're going to go do a color, and we don't mess with the color until we do these 4 other steps. And everything is just one task at a time until that task is done. And then you're like, oh, crap. All right. That only took me 14 hours to do that.
Well, I must be doing something right because that's kind of the process I go through. So I'm happy to hear you say that. So, Jimmy, someone's asked, what are your favorite editing programs for beginners?
All right. So a lot of if you're using Apple devices, a lot of stuff comes with iMovie. It's a great one because it's free and it's pretty intuitive. So you can get started with that. DaVinci Resolve, I hear a lot of people are using. That's another free one, maybe for a PC and stuff like that. I just love Adobe products.
Rush is the mobile one, right?
Well, Rush is like a mobile one you can do on your phone. I do a little bit more of the cumbersome editing, the heavy lifting and editing. So I want to have absolute complete control over every single function because I have something in my brain and I got to be able to make it work and I got to have all those functions. So I use Adobe Premiere Pro, but for a beginner, just get started with whatever you have. So look at it like this, like who has the best French fries? I don't like. Is Wendy's better than McDonald's, better than Burger King? It's all a French fry and they all taste really good. So it's kind of just what you feel comfortable with, what you're good at. They all do the same thing. People ask me all the time, what do you edit with? I go, it doesn't matter what I edit with. It matters how you tell a story.
Yeah. Well, I think if the person that asked that question, if you do have Apple products and you have iMovie, our kids use it because it's kind of laid out for you. So you don't have to build all the things that he's talking about in Adobe Premiere Pro. So it's already kind of just pre-designed, right? And you're just like putting clips in. So for very beginner, I think if our kids are doing it, they don't have any previous, background.
Yeah.
They love it because it is so easy and they get to, and there's a lot of little template things that are already built out for you that make it really easy.
There's some cool transitions and the title's really easy to do. So, they get doing stuff. I'm like, I don't think I could even do that in Premiere. How'd you do that? And they're like, oh, it's just a template. You just drag it on. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
There's a lot of people that are just starting out and we're like, that video was great. What'd you edit on? They're like, iMovie. And I'm like, good job, So don't discount the things like that because they get you started. And then when you're like, you mastered that, like our kids are getting to the point where they're like, all right, iMovie is kind of limiting now. And so you have Android and a GoPro. Okay. So for the GoPro, they have their own Quick, right?
Yeah, GoPro has an app that's you can edit on the app, and it's called Quick. And you can compile a bunch of little quick shots together and get it on social media before you even get back to the car. So that's a fun little one.
When I first started traveling, I had this, I can't even remember the name of it right now, but it was just an app on my phone and literally just pulled out the shots that I wanted, put it all together, added the music, added some titles, like for a real beginner. And my kids love doing that as well. Like that was a great place to start. And it just kind of gave me a little bit more confidence. And since then I've done a lot more than that. So another quick question, how long does it generally take you to edit a video?
Okay, so
it depends how deep he's going in the edit.
Right, because ideally maybe 12 hours, 16 hours if I'm going like really deep with multiple stories throughout. This is we're talking about a 12 to 15 minute YouTube.
So like an hour a minute of
maybe an hour a minute.
And this is adding in all of the stuff, the time lapses, adding in. If it was just kind of a straight shot, and not adding a lot of other stuff, it would be probably what?
Yeah, I don't know. Still 6, 7, 8 hours.
He's super meticulous though. So you can't go by him in particular because he's like a master editor. He's very meticulous about everything. And so I'm always like cracking the whip. Come on, hurry up, edit faster. And he just can't because every little thing matters to him. And so
like the stuff we shot in Bali, but when Bali was open, we've been recently editing it and getting it out because we shot so much. I mean, terabytes and terabytes of Bali footage. And so now that we're home, a year later, editing Bali stuff, it's taking me a lot longer because I'm like, what's the story? What was the adventure? What's the journey? I'm trying to tie in this town with this town. What's the transition? And then we do voiceovers. So those take 16 hours, a couple of days to do those. Recently, now we're in Key West, so we're trying to streamline the process a little bit. So I've really only given myself a day. So by 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, when we get off this call, I have to start editing. And so by 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, I have to have.
We have a video that's posting at 9 in the morning that he's editing today.
I just started about an hour before this, so. Recently, I've been able to get it down to 8 to 10 hours.
I'm sure you told me at one point an hour per minute, and I don't edit anywhere near your ability, but I'm sticking to the hour per minute that he told me.
Unless you got
I'm not too slow.
Unless you got a 40-minute show.
Well, yeah.
These are just straight. This is like straight editing versus.
Yeah, and using a simple program like iMovie makes it so easy,
Yeah.
Like, that's a great standard. So people always go like, how do I edit faster? I'm like, I mean, processes, shortcuts.
There's tips to edit faster,
but it still takes
Yeah,
time.
absolutely. Someone said that's why your videos look so good.
Thank you so much. We really, really, really appreciate that.
It's a labor of love.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so I think we're up to number 9.
Number 9, shoot in threes. All right, so like we talked about earlier with the GoPro, if you leave it in wide the whole time and you shoot the whole video shot in wide, right, where it's like 180-degree view, you never really get a sense of what's going on. You never dive into, the elements that you really want to show, details. Yeah. And the same thing for that, if you're shooting tight the entire time, you never get a sense of where you are. And so shooting in threes is a good rule of thumb and if you watch any TV show, movie, it's typically going to do this. There'll be a wide shot establishing where you are, outside of a building, a beach, there'll be a landscape shot. Then you're going to go tighter. You're going to go medium to something a little more. So say we're in the RV park. So you see a big shot of the RV park. And then we'll go to a medium shot. You see our RV. So we're zoning in, like you're zooming into whatever it is. And then you might come inside and now you're sitting at the table in the RV. Depending on what the story is, but you want to do wide, medium, and tight with every scene to really draw the viewer into what it is you want them to focus on, and so say you're at the beach and you're like, here we're at the beach, and then we're setting up our blanket, so we're going medium, and then we're going to jump in the water, so we go underwater, and now we're tight, So just think about whatever you're doing. How can I show people where we're at? And then let's go a little tighter and a little tighter. And then details as tight as your hand opening a doorknob, So what you want the viewer to feel like they're there with you. Like you want them to see where they're at. And then what are we focusing on? And then, okay, we're in the situation. And so if you think about that, it's way more captivating.
I always have a mantra that I sing in my head all the time is 1, 2, 3, we shoot in threes. 1, 2, 3. Because sometimes we get to a scene and we're like, I don't know what to shoot.
It gets overwhelming sometimes,
The kids are like, I'm hungry, let's get something to eat. And I'm thirsty. And I'm like, no, but I got to get this like temple or something, So I'm like, all right, wide shot of the temple, medium shot, and then I'll go in and do details.
A tight detail of the,
So you need one wide, 2 medium, and I usually do 7 to 8 tight shots. Just to have, what I mean? But that's a good. At least get 10 shots.
We overshoot a little bit in that sense, just to make sure that we nailed it, because you can do one shot wide, 1 shot medium, but say the composition wasn't right, and you're like, oh man, like you're not going back there to reshoot it. So shoot it a couple of different ways, different angles, and then when you get into editing, then you're like, oh, this one was the best one. So you give yourself options.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Sounds
and within that, composition is super important. I don't know if you with Zoom calls these days, people are like, their head is at the very bottom of the screen.
This?
Yes! And so that is like, oh my God, just pay attention, just angle it down, Or
my mom always does from here up. I'm like, Mom, I can't see you.
Yeah, I see my mom's ear,
yeah.
the whole thing. And I'm like, why are we FaceTiming if you're going to put it?
So there's if you go on your GoPro, if you go on your phone, there's a thing called the grid lines, and you just go into settings and you can turn on your grid lines. And it's a great. I recommend it to everybody. Put it on, and it helps you compose your shot perfectly.
If you're not used to it or don't know what we're talking about, put the grid lines on, and you'll see like the eyes should always be somewhere along the top, and not the bottom, because then you have too much dead space on top. So, but like, see, it's just these simple little tweaks that you make, and your videos will instantly become so much better.
Yeah,
I love
absolutely.
Love the grid lines.
Someone said, great tip about shooting in 3. Never thought of that.
Thank you.
There you go. Wonderful. And so where are we? Tip number 10.
Last tip.
Dun, dun, dun.
You want to do this one?
All right. Show, don't tell. So I've been to a bunch of workshops and master filmmakers and all this stuff. And every one that we go to, they always say, show, don't tell. So if I go up to let's just say, use the temple again. I love the temple idea. Oh, this temple we went to was amazing. It had these golden arches that were 1,800 years old and blah, blah. You're like, wow, I wish I could see it.
Just talking about the whole time, right? You're like, it was so intricate and the details, but instead do what?
Yeah, or you could just go shoot it, right? Shoot those 10 shots that we just talked about, a wide shot, 2 medium, 7 tights. And then you show instead of telling, because when you show, you're creating art. And when you create art, it allows people's interpretations to come in, and then they have a different takeaway than maybe you even intended for that. So create art by showing and not telling.
Well, it's more interesting too. It's more interesting to see me talking about something, or you hear my voice talking about it, but I'm showing you the actual intricacies of whatever it was, or the details, or the color of the water was so amazingly blue, You want to see it instead of me just talking about it.
Even like sailboats, we've been geeking out on sailboat videos, and when they do these montages of like the water, the sails going up, all this stuff, I'm just like, I'm dreaming of something maybe they didn't even intend for me to dream of, but that's what I'm building out in my head because,
Or they could have said, we put the sails up, they were billowing in the wind, and you're like, I want to see it.
Yeah. And I guess the other thing for people that are new and maybe aren't yet so comfortable being on camera, you can, do it as a voiceover and have all of that footage going on.
Yes, that is a great point.
Yeah, we do a lot of voiceover. We'll build a whole story, and I'm like, we're missing something here to tie it together, and we'll just grab we got a little lav mic that plugs in your iPhone, and then you just say,
do a little voiceover. Yeah.
Or we just went to this thing called Alligator Reef, and I'm like, why is it called Alligator Reef? Well, in 1822, there was a boat called the USS Alligator that crashed onto the reef, and so it got the name. And so I just did. I go, okay.
It's a good little information,
I took my little lap. Time for a history lesson. This is why it's called Alligator Reef, and I did that to a whole montage, and it came out great. It's like,
well, you are world schooling, so
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Right. That's how we learn. Awesome. Well, look, I'm going to ask for one more tip because this is something that I struggle with. I mean, you touched on it before, Jimmy, but how do you organize your files? Because I looked the other day, and in my Dropbox, I've got like 50 or 60,000 files, and they're everywhere. And I've tried videos and photos, and it's just a hot mess. So, what would you recommend?
All right, so you have to stay on top of it from the beginning, because if you let it get away from you, it's too far gone, right? And so we'll come back from it. I don't do it every single time we come back. Maybe like I'll sit down at the end of the week if we did 2 or 3 adventures, and I just get organized. And it might take me 4 hours. Like the other day I was organizing. She's like, are you still over there organizing?
I'm like, are you done yet? No, I have another card. I go, I thought that was your last card. Someone was dumping.
So you got to just stay organized from the start and break down.
And labeling it the correct way to do.
Break down the adventures into whatever it is. Temple, we went to saw the Wat Temple in Thailand. You're going to take all that footage and put it in there. Or this was our week in wherever, Canggu. This was our week in Canggu. And inside that week, I even put GoPro Hero 9 Temple Tour.
Which camera you shot it with?
Sony A7 III, B-roll at the beach, because I don't always pull this one out, Drone shots, I'll put like drone, blah, 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 So each card gets the camera that it came off of and what we did on that adventure.
You can get as detailed as you want. That makes it easier for you. So when you go back to it, you know exactly what's in that folder.
Yeah.
And there's no guessing. Like now I have to go through it to see what exactly is in here,
Like we spent a month in Ahmed, Bali, right? We spent a month in Ahmed. And I shot 1.2 terabytes of footage in that month, and I have like 27 folders in this folder, but each folder has a subfolder, you know what I mean? And like our first week, so I just broke it down into week 1, we did this, and then those are in a folder, and then to week 2. So now when I open up, I have 4 folders, but then we open up those 4 folders, now we're getting into 26 folders, and so. And
the biggest thing is back up your footage. Make sure there is a backup, because it's happened to everybody. You're gonna lose something sometime in your life.
You're gonna lose it.
You're gonna lose it. But if you back it up, and as soon as you start dumping everything, back it up, then at least you know you have another space where, you know, this crashed or whatever, or the laptop broke, or, you know, the hard drive is done. You know that you have it somewhere else, and you didn't lose it all.
So they have on Amazon, they have like a 8 terabyte, like big daddy hard drive, 8 terabytes. So they're only like $130. So we'll buy one of those like every year, and then the whole year gets just backed up onto that one. We don't work off of that one, but that's just in the closet. And then we have a bunch of little portable 1 or 2 terabyte hard drives that we work off of. And then when we're done, we're like, okay, you know, we can go on the Big Daddy and throw those away or whatever. But these little ones will crash, guaranteed, without a doubt. Your little hard drives will crash. And when it crashes, you go, oh, I've got it backed up over there. So
well,
whatever.
A funny story is we were in, I don't know, Philippines, and us and another couple, they were vloggers also. We hadn't had anything backed up because the Wi-Fi was horrible to back anything to the cloud. And whatever we had electronics with us was in our bags. And so we were taking a ferry to another island, and we had to all fit on, you know, Philippine style. We had to fit 20 people with all the 20 people's luggage on this little canoe to get out to the ferry that's on anchor, you know? And oh my gosh, the thing is almost tipping over. And the girls, I didn't even think about it, but the other girls started freaking out. Oh my God, all of my footage, they have been traveling for a year, is on their hard drive and their laptop in this little boat. It feels like it's going to tip over at any second. And then I went, oh my God, all of our stuff too.
Oh no.
And we're like, don't move. Don't tip the boat, you know?
Maybe put it in a waterproof bag if you're going.
Yeah, you know what? That is actually a great tip. Put the hard drives in waterproof bags while you know you're going to be transporting, you know, on water. Because it's so scary to think you're going to lose all your footage, you know? So,
I use Dropbox a lot now for stuff, because I lost a heap of stuff many years ago, and so I operate on Dropbox so that I know, like, as soon as I upload it to my computer, it automatically syncs to Dropbox, so I know that I've always got it there. So that's always been good. Just sounds like I need to be more organized, Jimmy, with my filing system.
You just got to find your flow. You got to find what works for you, and
exactly.
You know how you organize the way you organize other things.
Exactly.
And this is after years of doing this, that he's whittled it down to this is the right way to do it. You know, it's the easiest way. It keeps it in point.
Well, thank you guys. This has been absolutely awesome. Now, I want to give you an opportunity to tell us about your upcoming courses that you've got going on, because my daughter took one of your courses and just loved it, and she learned so much from you guys on video editing, and she's out there and starting to make things happen. So tell us, because I know you've got a couple of new courses coming up, which I think are just going to be fantastic for world schoolers and for kids too. So you've got a kids one coming up.
So to start off, it's called How to Make Badass Travel Videos, because we really want people to feel good about it. We want them to know that it's going to be, they're adding so many cool elements to it that it's really an amazing video. And you can do that over and over and over again. And so, yeah, we have this brand new course we're in the middle of making right now. It will be launching in the next, I don't know, month and a half, which is going to go everything that we taught today, these tips, but really go into depth and really teach you the fundamentals behind doing certain things and strategies and tips and editing and all of that, and starting a YouTube channel. So maybe you want it just for home videos because you're world schoolers and traveling the world, or you want to share it with the world and start a YouTube channel, and ways to get that going where it can be successful. And then a kids course, Sienna took our kids boot camp, where it's a little more on the advanced side. And there was a lot of parents that said, do you have anything that's a little more really beginner entry level? Because younger kids, or kids that have no experience. So that's what we are almost about to launch. We're very close to launching. I'm so proud of it, because there's so many kids out there that have this passion for making videos, but they don't know where to start. You know, you can spend
Mm-hmm.
hours and hours and hours looking on YouTube on how to do this and how to do that, and it just, you go down a rabbit hole. Or and
absolutely.
parents, and a lot of parents don't have any background, so
Exactly.
they don't even know where to start themselves, and so they can't help their kids. And so for us, we know that this is going to be able to just like put them light years ahead of knowing, and it's like a little film school, really.
And it's all GoPro, smartphones, and tablets. It's everything these kids already have. So it's really amazing. We can't wait to get that out there for everybody. And just help these kids get that art out of them. I think that's the biggest thing.
There's so much potential. It's crazy. Like kids these days, they're born with electronics, you know, and so it's in them.
And us as parents, we're just getting in the way, going, "Not yet. I'm not."
It's like making Sienna's cooking video. I'm like, oh no, I think we need to do it this way. And then she went and made hers, and oh my God, her video is so much better.
That's crazy.
So, you know, Tyler, she makes her nature videos, and she does these things we would never even think of. She does these super slow-mo with the voices where it sounds hysterical, you know? And I go, I would never even think that. But a kid's perspective, they look at it so different. And so if you let them have the control and the tools to do it, they can create such amazing videos, you know?
Yeah. And how amazing is it to be able to have an insight into what they're, you know, what they're thinking when you watch one of their videos? Like, it's incredible. So look, you know, like I said, Sienna took your other course, and I know that she loved every moment of it. And you guys teach so well. Like, you make it so easy for people to follow. And I mean, clearly, you know what you're doing. You know, the kids love you. So it's on the screen now, newkidscrew.tryNsomethingnew.com. And of course, for the adults, the travel videos.tryNsomethingnew.com. Tell us about your YouTube channel before we finish off, because everybody needs to see that.
There it is. Try something new.
So try and something new. And another thing, a little tip right here. If you're going to start a YouTube channel, make it easy to spell, because you know, it was just a whim that we started this YouTube channel. Our film business was called Something New Film. So we're like, oh, trying something new. We're going to be selling it all and trying something new. But we spelled it, try, the letter N, something new. And so anytime people ask us, we have to explain it. Eliminate the explaining and just make it easy. But yes, that's our YouTube channel. It's all our adventures around the world with 3 kids.
Some unschooling videos in there, some travel tip videos in there, and just some really fun adventure stuff in different locations around the world. So we hope to inspire people to get out there and try something new and push themselves to think outside the box and really, you know, just follow their passions and live life to the fullest. That's what it's about.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much. Like that, those tips have just been awesome. And I know that people are going to just get so much benefit out of this. But you know what? If you want to take it to the next level, these are the guys to learn from. I promise you, you will learn so much. So yeah, I mean, look, you guys have just given me a few hints and tips over the last year, and my videos are a million times better off for it. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. We went a little longer than last time, but absolutely worth it. Next week, we're going to be talking about Galileo School. So for those of you that are looking for some sort of education program that works really well with Worldschooling, maybe, you know, you've tried the textbooks and, you know, you're not quite ready for the unschooling, Galileo is absolutely incredible. And I'm going to be talking to Liz Quain about education while Worldschooling and how this program runs side by side with Worldschooling. So thank you guys so much again for joining us, and we'll talk again soon.
All right.
To find out more about Jimi Sandi, their YouTube channel, and of course their upcoming courses, visit info.tryNsomethingnew.com.